I did not know I was going to do this story tonight. And then, like, right before I started filming this live stream, I'm like, no, I want to talk about this because this is making me mad. I talked about this a while ago. There is this book that is now released. It's called The War on Science. This right here is Lawrence Krauss. And you could see the subtitle here 39 renowned scientists and scholars speak out about current threats to free speech, open inquiry, and the scientific process. They published this book called The War on Science. And again, I made a video about this months and months ago when Lawrence Krauss announced that he was putting together this book because there was enough information out there to have thoughts about it. And I actually helped. If you are on YouTube right now, there's a wonderful video about this book from genetically modified skeptic, Drew McCoy. I wrote that video, the script for that video. He made a wonderful video about this book. You can watch that as well. But there's a reason I want to talk about this book today. But let me give you a backstory if you're not familiar with this book. The idea here is that this is a book full of essays from a bunch of contributors who are all talking about the war being waged on science. And the contributors include some people you all who are watching this may be familiar with: Richard Dawkins, Jerry Coyne, Peter Boghossian, Steven Pinker, Lawrence Krauss again. And if you were going to write a book about the war on science, what would you write about today? Is it how the Trump administration is firing scientists and rescinding grants that they gave and decimating all these schools along with the research grants they have given to them? And Robert F. Kennedy Jr. Denying vaccines. What did he do this week? He said we're not going to fund the development of vaccines from Pfizer or Moderna in the future, mRNA vaccines. How about Republicans decimating funding for research, or Trump withdrawing from the climate agreement, or leaving the World Health Organization, or putting all these anti-vaxxers in charge of everything? All of this stuff is happening. And guess what? In this book from Lawrence Krauss, none of these people give a shit about any of that. Their concerns are, you know who's waging a war on science? It's all those progressives who are like, you know who we should give scholarships to? Black people. You know when we should fund? We should do research on things that maybe we don't understand the relevance of it just yet, but it feels like this is an interesting thing to research. And conservatives always pick apart their like published studies, like, look, they were studying gay rats or something, and it's stupid. It's like, yeah, but they were trying to get at something deeper to make a better understanding of humanity, and it's going to help us down the line. Just because you read a headline and you don't understand the study doesn't mean this whole research was useless. So this is what's been happening in the world of science. And so in this book, when you saw what was in this book, it became very clear that they were only talking about right-wing grievances and like agreeing with them, and not talking about actual threats to the scientific establishment. Specifically in the book, because they released a table of contents a while ago, they have chapters on free speech and ideology and victimhood. They talk about ideological corruption of academic disciplines. They have a whole section on cancel culture. They have a section on DEI, and then another section on gender, race, ideology, science, and scholarship, and a section on what can be done about it. There was a wonderful article written this week on the website Science-Based Medicine by Dr. Jonathan Howard, because now the book has been published. It's out. Oh, I'm going to add one more thing. I'm going to reference this later on. When I made that video months ago about this stupid book, one of the criticisms I got was that I haven't read the book. How dare I have any thoughts about it when I haven't read it, even though the table of contents was out there and I knew exactly what this was going to be about. And there is an actual easy answer to this. These are not 39 brand new essays that they were publishing in this book. A lot of these essays are things these scholars wrote for right-wing websites over the past couple of years, like long think pieces that are really stupid. And so they were just packaging that into this book. So if I saw the table of contents, I could Google that article. I would find where they originally published it and I could read the whole article for myself. So I'm not just mad about this book without having read it. I could read a lot of the essays that were going to be in it. So it was easy to criticize it for what it actually said and not just what I thought it said. But now the book is out. And on this website, Science-Based Medicine, Jonathan Howard did a really nice job picking it apart. And I just wanted to highlight a few of the things he said in here that I thought were really interesting after going through the table of contents. There's the genetically modified skeptics video about this stupid book. But look at this. Ensconced in their pundit fantasy world, these contributors had the luxury of pretending that the real threat to science came not from Trump and his minions, but rather from cancel culture, DEI, gender, and race. Krauss actually wrote a 2016 article worried about what the Trump administration would do. And he says, while Krauss's 2016 essay predicted the future, his current book was written as if the past 8 years never happened. And it should be titled Renowned Scientists and Scholars Who Were in a Coma. The war on science is best thought of as a work of science fiction, dispatches from a parallel universe where MAGA doesn't exist, wokeism is all powerful, and science was obliterated by DEI and trans people. It is a complete inversion of what's actually happening. That is so well said and it's so accurate. And then I would add, it's not just that these renowned scientists and scholars created a fantasy world. Their imaginations provided fuel and ammunition to the people who are currently taking a wrecking ball to things in the real world. Predictably, these scientists and scholars were happy to lend their legitimacy to this feigned victimhood. Jordan Peterson is a contributor to this stupid book. Jordan Peterson and Gad Saad recorded podcasts with future Trump officials about silencing the opposition about academic freedom. Now that they are in power, these same Trump officials are leading the way, purging, censoring, and defunding scientists. So this is a point I did not make earlier, which is that it's not just that the Dawkins and Krausses and Coynes, it's not just that they are focused on the wrong thing. They're focused on the thing that has nothing to do with where the real problem is at. Like, it's not just that they're stupid, it's that they're lending all the ammo that the right wing needs to sow mindless doubt about vaccines and research in itself. Like, why are we trying to help Trump cultists prop up an anti-science administration? Again, if you were writing a book called The War on Science written in 2025, how do you ignore what the Trump administration is doing? At the very least, there needs to be something on the front page, on the cover of the book that says, look, these are, in terms of priority about what's hurting science, these are items like 1000 through 1039. And by the way, they wouldn't even belong on that list, but that would at least make a little more sense, but they didn't do any of that. There's another thing that is also interesting. So Jerry Coyne, who has written, by the way, some very good books on evolution, he's a contributor to this. He's also a right-wing crank now who only writes about like his favorite right-wing websites and the articles they publish and how much he really doesn't understand or like trans people. It's all he writes about. But he was promoting this particular book that he contributed to. And I think he's also heard from critics like me. He says like 39 essays about how science is being corrupted by the left. Now I know what you're going to say. The 39 chapters in the book below, find it here on Amazon, deal exclusively with threats to science from the left. But as we all know, at the moment, the threats to science from the right, the Trump administration, are far more serious. And look what he says. This is back in his voice. In the short run, that may be the case. But in the long run, well, who knows? Yeah, because hiring a black person or giving money to, minority groups, that's really what's going to kill science in the long term. I mean, we won't have research in the long term because we just cut off all the funding for it. But, in the long term, trans people might ruin science. This fucking idiot. Oh my God. So think of it as a bunch of scientists and other academics analyzing how our trade is being hurt by progressives. And At the time we submitted our manuscripts to editor Lawrence Krauss, who added a nice introduction, Trump hadn't yet started slicing federal grant money from bad universities. You guys, these are the smartest men in the scientific establishment. How would they possibly know 5 or 6 months ago when they submitted these manuscripts that Trump would be bad? I mean, they only had the past 10 years of Trump being a dictator to know anything. How could you be this dumb? Again, I expect Republicans to be this dumb, but when you're someone like Jerry Coyne or Richard Dawkins, who has built an entire career on the foundation that I'm smarter than the rest of you, I understand stuff better than the rest of you, I can explain it better than the rest of you, and you should come to me because I'm a champion critical thinker. And these guys are like, how are we going to know Trump was going to do mean things to science? We've never heard of Project 2025, where it laid out how they were going to decimate science. Maybe if they had listened to people like me who clearly knew all this was happening, they would be in a better position. But what do I know? By the way, in that same Coyne blog, my favorite thing about it, yeah, there he is posting his book. By the way, I know I said this in the previous video. Lawrence Krauss has defended Jeffrey Epstein. You can look that up. It's not a good look. It's a horrible quotation. It was after Epstein was found to have done some horrible things. Lawrence Krauss was still defending him. You go look it up. I mentioned it in the previous video. Anyway, back to this Coyne post. After he's promoting this book, I get a mention in here. I'm so happy. Let's scroll down past the table of contents. Oh, look at this. As a reader noted, and I predicted, the great benighted, I don't get it, which includes the hateful, friendly atheist, has gone after the book before it was even issued. I very strongly doubt that the hateful atheist even read the book before he went after it. So, ignorance. I repeat, the table of contents was published months ago, and almost all of these essays were already online. So I did read the essays that were online, and guess what? They were also stupid back then. So just dumb. Jerry Coyne, dumb. Was there anything else I wanted to share with you about this? There is. Oh, let's see. Lawrence Krauss just wrote an article like a couple weeks ago about Trump's war on science, which is like, okay, great. That's interesting. Look at this. First of all, he wrote it for Quillette, which is one of those right-wing anti-establishment websites. But okay, an article on Trump's war on science. Very good. Look at what Dawkins says. Pity, this superb essay is too late for our book, The War on Science. Admittedly, universities have promoted idiotic woke nonsense, gender studies, etc., but backlash cutting science budgets is sheer spite and even more idiotic. Science makes America great. I've said enough about Richard Dawkins going after wokeness and trans people and gender stuff. But if you know that what this administration doing is even more idiotic, why would you contribute to a book that doesn't focus on that? Why would you spend all your time going after the thing you freely admit is a less of a threat to the scientific establishment? And by the way, they weren't going to include this essay in the book because the book, not only is it a collection of right-wing diatribes written by all these canceled professors who are like a mixture of sexist and racist and all of that, it's published by a right-wing publisher. Pity this superb essay was too late for our book. It wasn't too late. And also, if you want to know what Lawrence Krauss is up to promote this book, just look at this tweet. I did the Federalist podcast to talk about the war on science. Lawrence Krauss talks about his right-wing book on a right-wing podcast, and then they're mad that critics are going after him as if he's on the right. Just a bunch of idiots. I don't know what else I want to say about this book. It's a dumb book. You can read it online for free. All the essays are right there. But again, if this is what the the most popular names in science communication are doing. What the hell is wrong with these people? I want to go back really quickly to that science-based medicine article because this guy went after Coyne too. Predictably, Coyne doesn't blame himself for being late to recognize Trump's threat. Rather, he says Trump's actions were too late for the book. Dawkins similarly lamented that Krauss's anti-Trump essay was too late to absolve themselves of their blindness to the obvious. These renowned scientists and scholars act as if Trump's attack on science was some freakish, unpredictable natural disaster. How were they supposed to know? Jesus Christ. Of course, reality wasn't too late for their book. Anyway, really wonderful article. What was this other bit? Many renowned scientists and scholars, some of whom should have been valuable allies, were blind to the real danger until it was too late. While many of us warned about the threat to science, they rolled out the red carpet to its attackers, giving them intellectual cover and legitimacy. They did this in the name of reason, free speech, and skepticism, all to combat pronouns and gender studies, which were supposedly existential threats to the entire scientific enterprise. I love it. That's such a great encapsulation of what they are dealing with. Kudos to Dr. Jonathan Howard for that excellent article. I'll stop there. It's a dumb book. Don't read it. Don't waste your time. But if you do, you will find out everything I just said is accurate. What do we got here? Look, they don't really want to cut all the funding that keeps everything in society progressing. But how else are they going to give their billionaire buddies all those tax breaks? Sheesh. I know they don't want to hurt Harvard and all those schools that, the right wing has waged a war on elite universities for decades, even though they all graduated from those schools. But they know that they got to say those schools are the problem with society. So now they're just extorting them for ransom money until they pay up. And none of this is good for science. All the best research tends to happen at these universities. So when you're taking money away from these schools, it makes it harder to do research that helps all of us. Like, to go after gender studies instead of all the things the Trump administration is doing, how blind do you have to be to what is actually going on? Everyone that was part of that book, I have no respect for them. And listen, I only mentioned a few of them. There are so many more people on that list you should not have respect for. But listen, anytime you're writing a book and Jordan Peterson is one of the contributors, you have made a mistake with your life. What are you doing? Like, that should have been right there. Like, oh, he's writing for this book? Don't publish my essay. Like, don't put it in the book. I don't want to be part of this. Oh man, I should be picking these apart as well. Those of us with academic literacy need to speak out more, myself included. I appreciate that. And yes, I hope anyone who has academic literacy, or even, I don't care if you have a degree or not, like if you have an interest in science, you can and should speak out against this bullshit, whether it's this stupid Lawrence Krauss book or everything the Trump administration is doing. There's no shortage of things you could be mad about. You should be mad about something, and you should make everyone else also be mad about it. This is therapy for me trying to get you to be mad about the same things I'm mad about, because I promise you no one in my circles really cares about any of this, but I'm trying. Oh, thank you for that donation. Enjoying the news roundup from my hotel in Sarnia. Baja Con will miss you. I love Baja Con that is going on this weekend. They have a great lineup in Sarnia, Ontario. I hope I am back there next year. Tell them to bring me back. I love it there, but it's a good group. I hope you enjoy yourself.